Like I told Bradley, every great player in the history of the league has had some type of adversity or some type of big-time injury that they had to overcome. If you look at Tom Brady, DeMarcus Ware, Peyton Manning, you're going to have to overcome some adversity like that. And, he got his, early. I got mine, early as well. So he'll overcome it. He's a machine. He'll overcome it. He'll be all right.
Von Miller talking about what Bradley Chubb is facing as he comes back from an ACL now. Nick Ferguson in for Mark, who's in London. Nick, when it comes to rehabbing and coming back from a long-term injury, the toughest part of it is what?
It's the mental aspect of it. The physical part you can get over, but knowing as though here is what part of field, what quarter against whatever team that this happened to you. So mentally trying to fight through that. And like, Vaughn said, there's a lot of players that have had adversity, and injury being one of them. And it's can you fight back, from that. I too have had 2 knee surgeries. And the mental part was the hardest part because you were able to do something once before. Now you can't do that. Now you're fighting against yourself for 6 months, 8 months to fight back, to get back to where you were previously. And that's hard. A lot of players go into dark places and they never come out because you feel as though your career is over. But Chubb has been in this situation before, so he knows what he has to go through.
Next on the Morning Brew.
It's a whole new team, you know what I mean? Guys, we're getting to know each other. Coach Fangio's still learning us, you know what I mean? He's trying to figure out what's the best way, how do we play good, what's our best coverages for our team, and what fits us. So it's a learning curve for everybody, I think.
Chris Harris, we know. He was part of the frustrated locker room that existed on Sunday after that Jaguars loss. But we've talked about how, as a fan base, us here talking about it, Monday and Tuesday, we were grumble. We were angry. We were frustrated, discouraged, critical. You get to Friday, and it's sort of like, all right, exhale, reset, hit the reset button. Are you confident that that's the same kind of mindset that exists in that locker room? Did they go through the same kind of arc?
Absolutely. I mean, earlier this week, I was over at the UC Health training facility. Got a chance to get a pulse of the locker room, and that was it. I mean, every guy was kind of fraternizing with their other teammates. They were laughing, and you would never think that they're 0-4. And I know the listeners will hear that and say, well, they should be upset. I mean, at some point you have to let it go and move on to the next game and turn the page. And that's what they're trying to do right now. And what Chris said, there's some truth to it. And we had to anticipate that, coming in, that things were going to be slow and steady, and it wasn't going to be as crisp as it was maybe under Wade Phillips. So, I mean, there's some learning curves, but you hope that they work those things out sooner than later, and it starts Sunday against the Chargers.
Next on the Morning Brew.
Yeah, there's a lot to like out of the game for me, and then there's some things that I wasn't real happy with. I thought great start, energized building, guys were fired up and ready to go. We were on pucks on our forecheck.
That is Avalanche coach Jared Bednar. I don't know what exactly he wasn't happy about. To me, this was a blueprint victory for the Avalanche last night, Nick. You got everything that all the questions in many respects were answered. You had the best line in hockey picked right up where they left off. Mikko Rantanen had 2 goals. Gabe Landeskog and Nathan McKinnon added an assist, so 4 points from your top line. You had some of the young veterans that you're looking to make that next leap. JT Compher, for example, he had a goal. You talk about your new veteran guys that you've brought in to sort of round out this roster, give it the depth, the secondary scoring that has plagued them the last couple of years. Jonas Donskoy had 2 goals. And then you talk about the stud defenseman that they clearly are going to be building around for the next decade. And Samuel Girard and Cale Makar each had an assist and were dominant on the power play. So add in Philip Grubauer with a little maybe shaky start at the beginning, but a solid finish. Hey, give me 54 more of those. How about that?
Well, we all would love to have 54 more, matches like that. But I mean, as a coach, you're always looking at the finer details that most people, miss when they watch a game. Yeah, the Avs won, but could they have played a lot better? Right? Yes, they could have. And as a coach, you see that. So I'm happy about the victory itself, but to get to where you were talking about yesterday, being in the conference finals, you have to make sure the final points of your game are always intact every time you touch the ice.
I think what Bednar said yesterday, coupled with what Joe Sakic has been saying this week, even yesterday, he ran into our Adrian Dater coming out of the elevator after the game, and Adrian said, "What do you think?" He goes, "Well, 81 more to go." You could just tell he's trying to just kind of keep the high expectations tempered a little bit so these guys don't get too caught up in it. Next on the Morning Brew.
Zerline, almost always money, gets this one away. It's up, and it's no good! Greg Zerline misses it! It started as a small roar from the Hawks' nest, and eventually we all saw it. It was a miss, and the Seahawks are going to dodge a bullet and win this game with 11 seconds left.
Wow, Seahawks radio. That was a really good game last night. I know Todd Gurley hates Thursday Night Football, but the Rams and Seahawks put on a good show, and I thought Zerline was automatic. You talk about the kickers out there in the NFL that I consider automatic. He's up there in the top 3. I was stunned he missed that kick. So, how about the Seahawks? How about the Seahawks with the 12th man? All those stupid fans walking around with 12 and the fan on the back of their jersey. They're 4-1.
Yeah, 4-1. What did you think about the uniforms? Because usually on Thursday is always the color rush, but that neon green,
See,
it was jumping off the screen.
Yeah, here's the thing. If I'm a skill position player, I love it. I look sleek, right? If I'm one of the big uglies on the defensive line or offensive line, I'm like, this is not flattering. Remember the Teletubbies?
Yes.
They look like the big guys just look like a bunch of Teletubbies.
You know what they look.
Freak
You know what
me
they
out.
look
Did not
like.
let my kids watch the Teletubbies.
They look like gummy bears, like very overlarge size
right.
gummy bears.
Right.
That's the first thing. But it was a great game, and if you're Sean McVay, you have to look at this game and where you're at right now, this part of the season.
That defense.
Yes.
Come on, Wade.
This was a top defense last year, and looking at how many points they've given up over the past 2 weeks, you gave up 54 to Jameis Winston in Tampa Bay in Los Angeles, and then Thursday Night Football in a short week, now you give up 30.
Wade Phillips is revered around here, but maybe Wade left at exactly the right time to keep his legend intact, because what has been the hallmark of Wade Phillips everywhere he's gone? His defenses start really fast, and then as the years go by, they sort of peter out.
I watched the game.
Marcus peter out.
Yeah, I watched the game last night, and it's funny that you bring up Marcus Peters. Who for the past 2 weeks, who've given up some big plays. He missed the tackle last night, and the first thing that came to mind was like, well, October 29th is going to be trade deadline. Could we be on the verge of seeing maybe Chris Harris being reunited with Wade Phillips in Los Angeles? Because Marcus Peters, he hasn't looked that stellar. Could it happen?
All right, something to think about. That'll do it for the Morning Brew. Bring that to you each and every morning at 6:30.